total. And 1 second, so here we go. So we had 9 releases in total and really focused on performance. We know hardware is expensive these days, so it's important to get the most out of your box. And we also improved our gateway system, added a lot of new assets for people to create awesome looking airports. And X-Plane 12 is by far our most successful release so far. I picked out 4 releases I want to talk in detail a bit. And let's start with our gateway asset update. That was in July last year. We asked the community, what do you need from us to create airports? And we got a huge list of add-ons, like new cars, camping tents, and stuff like that. And, well, we implemented it. We released 250 assets with it. And it was well received, and thank you so much for all the work you all do, updating the airports and so on. In November, that was quite exciting, we released our weather updates. That was by far the biggest update of last year. We implemented a full-blown weather radar and implemented it in our default fleet, and also in the G1000, we implemented synthetic vision, and even historical weather, so you can just go back in time. You want to fly 2 weeks ago, the weather, no problem. Just set date and time and you're all set. And we also provided the tools you need to integrate the weather radar in your own aircraft. Then in November, we had our seat check update. We called it seat check because it touches so many different areas of the simulator. And one of the most exciting features was multi-threading support. So it really improved performance for many people. And we also updated our 330 and teamed up with Toby to integrate their eye tracker 5. So you don't need any additional software. Just plug it in, start X-Plane, and you're all set. And this year, we are very excited about the VR release. We teamed up with Apple to make X-Plane available on the Apple Vision Pro and added mixed reality and hand tracking support for supported devices. But also other people like, Quest 3 users, they have something out of the VR release because we rewrote the entire system. It's all new. It's a lot better. You have a much nicer experience now. And here I have some nice screenshots from the Discord server. We didn't modify those, they just show how good X-Plane can really look these days. We are really proud of that. So let's talk about the roadmap, what we have planned in the future. We have 3 goals when we decide what to do. The first thing is we want to empower pilots. We want you to have a good experience when you fly, and you end your flight, we want you to say, oh, that was nice. The other thing is we want to empower developers. A flight simulator is just as good as its community. So we want to make sure that developers have the tools they need to create good add-ons, but also get the support from us so that they can reach us, that we are just there, to help them. And the other thing, of course, we want to empower the future. We want to enhance X-Plane. We want to look at even that it's much nicer as well. And this is what Ben will talk about then in a couple of minutes. So right now we are at the VR release, and I expect that to be final in, let's say, 2 weeks if nothing goes wrong. And next will be the SDK update. So when I talked about, we want to empower developers, that's what it is really about. We added a bunch of new SDK tools, Ben will talk about that again. And we implemented some improvements with the weather radar to make it even better. Added a CPDLC that I think a lot of online pilots will be very happy about it. Added even more scenery assets. And it's quite normal for us these days. We always have a custom airport when we release something. And this time we said it will be Farnborough Airport because of the great air show every year. And then later this year, probably in autumn, we will have a flight model update. We concentrate a lot on helicopters, so you have rotor blade tracking. We added a lot of procedures, helicopter procedures, and also enhanced the ground physics. You can really see that when you're on unpaved ground and it's wet and you try to taxi, you need a lot more power to get the aircraft moving. And we also have a custom airport this time, John F. Kennedy in New York City. You can see here the iconic tower Cristiano created set. Yeah, and that's it from my side. Now I hand over to Ben.
Thanks, Marco. I love being able to tell you guys about the stuff we've been working on. And these are two features that I think are going to be really great for developers who make stuff for X-Plane, and they're going to be really great for X-Plane. And the first one is panel graphics. So every aircraft's computers are their own special snowflake. And the way that an add-on developer makes the displays for an airliner is they make a plugin in OpenGL. And this is how we've been doing it for a long time. OpenGL is a jack of all trades, master of none. It's not as high performance as Vulkan and the rest of X-Plane, and it's not that easy to use. Things like really good anti-aliasing are hard to do. So we have a new API for our plugin developers called Panel Graphics. This is a native Vulkan way to do avionics inside X-Plane, so you get really low overhead. But it's also much easier to use because you get all the things you would want if you're doing an airliner display. You get smooth TrueType fonts, you get vector graphics, you get anti-aliasing, and you get access to some of X-Plane's advanced features like the weather radar, the synthetic vision, the navigation displays. We're also making it easier to make a user interface in X-Plane, another pain point. You can use the new native panel graphics API to do your own UI. You can also use Dear ImGUI, which is now natively attached to Vulkan. That's one our community really likes. And we're also allowing user interface done with web pages, with HTML using the Chromium embedded framework. We have this working, and we're ready to share it. You can use these new APIs with C++, but you can also script them with Lua. And we're expecting to ship this in our SDK update this summer. If you're a developer and you'd like a preview, come talk to us, because we'd love to share it. Before we talk about the other thing, just a standard disclaimer, the marketing people get really, really, really nervous when I talk about stuff that's still in development. So this is something that's in progress. It runs on my computer. This is what we're trying to do. It is subject to change as we try to make X-Plane as good as possible. But I want to talk about what we're doing with our next generation scenery. Thank you. So there's 4 major things we have to do to create next generation scenery. We need a better way to do the base mesh that can support more detail. We need to be compatible with our existing DSF scenery, because we're not going to just throw out all the work our community has done to move forward. We also need more advanced 3D formats that can hold more detail, the kind of stuff you expect on modern computers. And we need a whole big pile of scenery data. So today I want to talk about what we're doing for these first 2 boxes. When we first created X-Plane's scenery system that we have now back in 2004, 8 megabytes of VRAM was like a lot of VRAM. People had 1 core, and there was no such thing as shaders. You couldn't program a GPU. So the way we solved that is we would pre-digest and bake a huge 100 by 100 kilometer chunk of scenery and really optimize it. And this was a pretty good idea for those older, slower, less capable computers. But at this point, we're starting to see real limitations. There's stuff we want to do and we can't do using the old technology. So we're working on the X-Plane Scenery Tile Engine. This is a tile-based, raster-based scenery engine for the terrain. And GPUs love this kind of data. They just eat it for breakfast. And it has a whole bunch of things that it can do that used to be really difficult. So let me tell you about them. First of all, let's just talk about what meshes look like. This is the Grand Canyon wireframe as we ship it today in X-Plane 12. And what you can see is there's some big triangles, there's some small triangles. We've kind of tried to use the triangles up in the craggly bits and not the flat bits. This was very clever back in 2004 when a triangle was really expensive. But it's also really dense in the foreground because it's fixed and it's pre-baked. And because some of those triangles are kind of big, the lighting on the mesa is kind of buttery and washed out. It just doesn't look that great. This is the new X-Plane Tile Scenery Engine doing the Grand Canyon. And what you can see is there's just a ton more detail. And that detail is really well distributed, so you get really nice sharp lighting for all the striations in the canyon. Editing meshes to create custom scenery has been a pain point. So in the old system, we would take that big chunk of scenery and pre-digest it, and if you wanted to edit that scenery, you had to redo some huge region. This is not a problem with the new tile-based scenery engine. With the tile-based scenery engine, you can just edit what you want to edit. So take a look at this. This is Minneapolis-St. Paul, and on the left you've got the basic runway, and on the right I've made a series of custom scenery edits. The FSExpo logo, that would be an orthophoto, I've just used a test image. But if you look at the X in the swoosh in Expo, that's actually real water. So this is a lake and coastline edit, which used to be a huge pain point. And if you look at the other FSExpo logo on the far side of the runway, that's actually an elevation mesh edit, and you can just see how fine that detail is, right? So this is a system that can do a ton of precision. And then this is the wireframe of what's actually happening before and after. Before the custom scenery comes in, we've got this nice uniform flat mesh because airports tend to be pretty flat. And then when we bring in our custom scenery, X-Plane raises the resolution of the mesh to have enough detail to capture that really fine FSExpo detail. We also need DSF compatibility. We're not just going to throw out people's work. So this is our existing X-Plane 12 Pacific Northwest scenery as we ship today, except it is being rendered by the X-Plane scenery tile engine. So I've got a debug view so you can see the tiles. The green tiles are smaller and higher detail, and then the yellow tile is bigger, and you can see the tiles getting larger in the background. And this is what the wireframe looks like. So on the left, you can see how X-Plane works today. Big, irregular, pre-baked triangles. It was optimized and is hard to edit. And on the right, you can see the scenery tile engine running the same scenery, but with this really fine detailed mesh for high quality lighting. So we're working on this new engine, but we're going to keep DSFs working. This is the money question, right? When? And this is when marketing starts to get nervous. But our goal is to ship the X-Plane scenery tile engine in X-Plane 12 this year. That is our intention. Thank you. Because what we want to do is we want to get this into the hands of add-on makers. They've been asking us, can we edit the meshes? Can we have a faster loading orthophoto scenery system? This has been on the wish list. And we have this technology, so we want to get this into users' hands so they can have faster loading. We want to get this into developers' hands so they can make even better airports. And we want to kick the tires. We've got this engine, we want to see it work, and we want to get some miles on it so we can use it to build our next generation scenery. So we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. We've got an SDK update where we want to put out panel graphics and really unlock fast panels and easier UI. We've got the flight model update, which has improvements in virtually every system in the flight model, incredible amounts of detail and a really high fidelity simulation. And we're working on rolling out our X-Plane add-on store. We want to ship the X-Plane scenery tile engine this year. And we are also working on motion vectors and temporal anti-aliasing. That's one that people really want, and we're working on that roadmap. And we have more performance improvements that we actually have developed that we're going to ship out. So we are on the show floor. We've got an area where we're doing workshops and seminars. So please come by and talk to us. We love to talk about these kinds of things, and we really appreciate you guys supporting X-Plane. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.